Okay, so I should look at what I'm seeing and just not state the facts. These people getting shot in the face and shot like dogs in the middle of the street, rabid dogs in the middle of the street, are not attacking ICE.
This is for educational and entertainment purposes only.
Hello, and welcome to the think tank, where we use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased and logical conclusions. Today we're here to discuss Donald Trump and him floating, possibly utilizing the Insurrection Act and what that might mean for America and its citizens. I'm going to represent resistance to him. My co-host, Honorable Dion Powell, will represent the MAGA party and their ideology. If this is the type of content you like to consume, hit that subscribe button. Check us out. Hear the arguments from both sides and come up to your own decision. With no further ado, the Honorable Dion Powell. Dion?
Hi, family. I'm District Leader Dion Powell of the Bronx Conservative Party. America First, borderline America only side of the MAGA family, supporting 80-20 President Donald J. Trump. I'm a consultant, strategist, and community organizer here in New York.
Okay. Let's get started. So, Donald Trump has been trying to place troops all across America in states and cities that will vote against him. I think that that is a huge violation of state rights. I see him trying to gerrymander. I see him trying to get rid of the Voting Rights Act. I see him wanting to place troops in areas that are going to vote against him. He's done so in Minnesota, California, Washington, D.C., a plethora of states. In Chicago, he's got a campaign that he literally called Blitz. He said that he wants to use American troops in practice in America, what he wants to do in other countries. This is what he wants to do. He wants to train American troops on how to battle like he would in other countries. And when we look at Minnesota, we see that's exactly what's happening. Hey, everybody. This is your boy, Leo. You know me. I've been doing commercials for 15 years, television commercials, radio ads, billboards. Now, I'm trying to step it into the big leagues. I want to be an independent filmmaker. I've got the degrees, I've got the experience, and I need your help to make my first independent film, Garrote. So Garrote is Boys in the Hood meets Clue. So these dudes from Brooklyn is trying to buy their drugs to supply the hood. So they go to the mafia stronghold and they purchase their drugs, but one of them turns up dead. And now there's a race to find out who did it. The Godfather's going to send in his hit squad, Squadra Assassina, to take them out. They don't figure out who did it because somebody died on his turf and he's not happy and he can't have stuff like that happening in his business. So please, if you want to show support, my Kickstarter campaign is down in the description box. When crowds get out of control, we tear gas them. When crowds are forming, they tear gas them. They shoot people that they want to randomly. They are committing war crimes inside of America. It's become a pretty scary thing. What do you think about the fact that he wants to, now the Insurrection Act is, so in order to understand the Insurrection Act, there's two, let me start that part because I gotta hurry up. All right. To understand the Insurrection Act and what it means. The Insurrection Act is used to place troops, Army and Marines, troops, American troops, not just the National Guard in American cities. Why does he need to do that? When he tried to place troops before in California, they fought it at the federal court level and won. The president can't just indiscriminately place troops to fight against crime the way Trump claimed he wanted to do. At that point, he said it was crime. That was his excuse at the moment. And they fought it and said, you can't use the military to fight crime. It's called the Posse Comitatus Act. So they kicked him out. There's only two ways to get around the Posse Comitatus Act and place troops. So it went from fighting crime to an insurrection. If Congress says that he can place the troops, then Congress can place the troops. Or the only other option is an insurrection. So now he's not trying to fight crime. His ICE agents are terrorizing people, grabbing people in front of schools, shooting people randomly. We have two high profile back-to-back cases in a week. The last one y'all probably know is Preddy. I don't remember his first name. I shouldn't have his name, but it's not here. I apologize. Oh, Alex Preddy, which was on the heels of Renee Good. Let me do that this way. Let me add you back in, and then I can continue. There was Renee Good, who was murdered in her car, and Alex Preddy was tackled in the street, stomped on, punch kicked, and while he was just lying on the ground, shot multiple times by two officers. It was a shit show. And all of this happening gives the look of an insurrection while, tear gas is going off. It's insane. It's a battlefield. It's a battlefield. You got gunshots going off, tear gas, pepper spray. It's a battlefield. It's a real battlefield. Kind of like Trump said he wanted to use American territory to practice. He's doing it. And if he says there's an insurrection, now he can place troops in the street. I mean, again, Army and Marines, like not just the National Guard and his ICE Gestapo. What do you feel, Dion, as a MAGA representative, about him floating this Insurrection Act where he'll be able to just place troops in blue cities?
Well, if you go to Ground News, because the think tank is officially an affiliate, you can clearly see in the search bar here that when you put in the Insurrection Act, there'll be several articles coming up. And always look at it by dates, because the closest date we have here is President Trump actually is always consistently changing his mind. Look, not right now, but then on the 21st does make life easier. However, if we go to the latest one, on the 24th, you get this. But on Ground News, you won't just get a left-leaning opinion, you get a center opinion, News Nation, or a far-right opinion about these wonderful, beautiful things. But thanks to the think tank, we're going to leave a URL in our description that looks kind of like this, and you'll get 40% off your Advantage plan. And I will also add, I inspire you to call your teachers, your colleges, your major nonprofits, and get them to buy the plan so that way you, your fellow students, and your coworkers can actually get a nice balanced platform that ingests a lot of media sources. And thanks to the think tank, you can see whether an article is left, far right, highly factual, lowly factual, and who the owners are. So that's what I and us here at the think tank get our information. Now, as for the Insurrection Act, President Trump, as always, trolls and uses inflammatory language to actually control the state of the media. But again, to give a shout out to Ground News, our new partner, get your information there. That way you can see for yourself.
Yes, Trump floats something, then he pulls back and he pulls and he pulls back, kind of like he did with tariffs. It's almost like he's priming an oil pump before he pumps the oil. He did this with tariffs. He did this with Venezuela. He did this with Iran. He appears to be doing this with Greenland. He appears to be ready to, he's already without the Insurrection Act tried to do troops, his ICE Gestapo is already practicing military tactics and they're untrained. It's a scary thing. These guys obviously don't know how to use a weapon. I just looking at videos, it's like, that's not the proper way. Like, I've been trained to use a weapon. Anybody in the military has been trained to use a weapon. Police are trained to use a weapon. They don't know how to use a weapon. They're very scary. I'm surprised somebody hasn't shot themselves in the foot. I'm actually surprised it hasn't made the news yet that somebody shot themselves in the foot. But the Insurrection Act would mean placing people that do know how to use weapons, that are not trained to deal with people and are very dangerous, here to police Americans. Do you think that there's an insurrection happening in this country that gives Donald Trump precedence to be, well, there's no precedence, to give Donald Trump the legal right to float the Insurrection Act, to possibly apply this very strange law that's never been really used in American history except for in times of actual insurrection? Do you see insurrection happening? Do you, in your eyes, believe that troops should be marching through New York City right now?
Okay, but as for marching through New York City, no. Minneapolis, maybe, and Minnesota for what's going on right now. However, this word insurrection couldn't be thrown around enough for January 6th. And at the time, if President Joe Biden were in power, with all the cronies around him, I'm sure they would like to do the Insurrection Act about a situation just like that. So in Minneapolis, actually, what's interesting is that President Trump is actually letting Governor Tim Walz and the mayor actually handle this because they are putting their own National Guard and they released a hound, which is the local police. So you see, there's other situations behind that, like the leaked signal group exposing how many leaders are getting paid off by foreign entities to actually fight these things. But yes, the Insurrection Act is there for a reason. President Trump, with his discretion and his sage wisdom, he has a right to actually just float it around with language as opposed to much action at this point, because that's all it takes.
He said Donald Trump and sage wisdom, two words that should never be in the same, two phrases that should probably never be in the same sentence. That's insanity at its highest peak. But let's get back to the actual facts, right? So Donald Trump floats the Insurrection Act. If he actually applies it, you don't think that it's coming to New York City?
Well, if there's any
Well,
situations where ICE or any federal agent is being assaulted and the mayor actually tells the local police not to help them as a private support, then maybe the president would have to get involved. But in New York City, we don't have such problems yet.
right. But if the Gestapo starts running in and
Oh
shooting people,
God.
starts running in and shooting
They're not
innocent
shooting people
people,
at random, Leo. It's a well-coordinated effort by these left organizers and nonprofits. That's a fact. I mean, this wouldn't happen if these people weren't all incited with all the inflammatory language people like you, the governor and mayor, use to hype people up with Nazi Germany-like scare tactics to prevent another situation like that from happening.
okay, so I should look at what I'm seeing and just not state the facts. These people getting shot in the face and shot like dogs in the middle of the street, rabid dogs in the middle of the street, are not attacking ICE. They are not attacking. So what you're saying is, well, they shouldn't have shown up to protest peacefully and practice their First Amendment right. Oh, you showed up, you get killed. That's it. We're just going like that's it. We're going to kill you. We don't like the fact you're protesting, so we're going to kill you. And you're saying that this is okay.
No, but thanks to Ground News, if you read articles from the right, you will clearly see they go into great detail on how this is a well-coordinated attack. And that's why the president of the United States is using the Insurrection Act and floating that word around. Not using it yet, but just floating around, and how foreign entities are actually paying into some of these organizers. And on top of that, a lot of these organizers as well are getting information and being teamed up with a lot of staffers in the government and in Walz's office. That's why he's helping out the president by sending National Guard himself.
I would like to see the source of this signal and who it went to. I'd like to see the source. I don't believe it. And here's why, right? Facts matter to some people, like, anybody but MAGA. And you have some group called Antifa that doesn't exist. There's never been proof. Ever since the term's been floated, we've been asking for the same thing. Show us where Antifa exists. Show us a headquarters. Show us a leader. Show us something of an organization. Show us something about Antifa other than anybody that's against fascism like myself. Anybody that's just against fascism. So because I'm against fascism and I want a democracy, I'm Antifa. And only MAGA, who wants King Trump to dominate the planet, is not Antifa?
Well,
Is
what's
that
interesting, Leo, is that according to our partner, Ground News, that the word Antifa is not actually being flown around. As you can clearly see here from a simple search of Minnesota Signal Group family, look at some of these articles here about how that the president and FBI are actually investigating the funding the anti-ICE violence is in Minnesota. And how Cash Patel, we love that guy because he's a minority like you and I, is actually looking at the signal group chats in which these organizers are actually all conspirating. So some people will use the T word for treason, but not me because I'm a Christian.
okay? So tracking ICE is legal. So there's no conspiracy, there's no treason, it's legal. And the people being punished for it are being punished for practicing something they can legally do. And the rhetoric that you're spreading is great because it makes it look as if what President Donald Trump is doing is legal, right, correct. What Cash Patel is doing is legal. Cash Patel has been outed by people that work for the FBI as being a moron, somebody who doesn't deserve to be there. If you like to watch stuff like congressional hearings, you can sit and listen to Cash Patel get torn apart because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But, watching congressional hearings like on CNN can be a little boring. But I like to consume that type of content. So I'm ready when I have conversations like this and I can be like, no, and be factual about it versus the hearsay that comes from, as Ground News pointed out, non-factual right-wing media. But let's stick to the point. If if ICE agents weren't attacking American citizens and they are attacking them, you're like, oh, it's 8-second clips. Yo, there's no other police force on earth. Well, not in America, maybe in, China or Russia or, any oligarchy country, North Korea maybe, is the kind of tactics that we're looking at. That's what we're seeing. No other police force in America walks around with masks on, doesn't have their badge number displayed so we can see who's responsible for crimes being committed, keeping them honest because they know there'll be accountability. No other police force in the country has innocent people getting shot and the person perpetrating the crime, the murder, walking away from the crime scene. No other police force in the country is terrorizing American citizens. No other federal police force is being used in such a way that they outnumber the actual police in the city, which is insane, without the Insurrection Act. So if all of this is going on without the Insurrection Act, I mean, countless videos of people being beat up, shot, like this is happening. Renee Good, Alex Preddy was within the last week. And I'm telling you, there's going to be more. I know that you don't like me telegraphing because then I can get to tell you I told you so afterwards. And I don't want to have to tell you I told you so. What I really prefer is the Minnesota be saved and people get out of there and not have to be in I told you so. But unfortunately, Trump is only going to press the matter further. He had to remove Bongino, and now he put somebody else in. Do you think that that's going to make a change, or do you think things are going to get worse?
Well, if you're following them actually trying to impeach and call for resignation of Kristi Noem, who's in charge of the Department of Homeland Security, there may be some changes because in Congress, a couple of Republican members are actually trying to lead a whole entire investigation to put the pressure on for them to have changes at DHS, the FBI, ICE, to actually see what's going on because such American citizens are being killed.
And on top of that,
On top of that,
Congress is like, oh, absolutely. They're talking about shutting down the government versus allowing DHS to be funded further, as you well know. So my whole thing is you still support the Insurrection Act in spite of all of this information as a MAGA representative.
yes. But I will also add that just the mere mention of these words from President Trump, just like the tariff war, is words as opposed to actual action, which is actually influencing the decision making locally. So, yes, as long as he throws around the word insurrection and stirs the pot to keep people on their toes and have Governor Tim Walz actually released his own National Guard and have mayors like the mayor of Minnesota actually give the okay to PD to assist ICE, like we're seeing right now, without actually implementing the Insurrection Act, I think it's a great thing.
Well, he should have implemented the Insurrection Act January 6th, but we know he didn't. Wasn't it insurrection? The federal courts have said yes. They said he was involved with conspiring for an insurrection. This is now law. This has been passed. It's been declared that his presidency is illegal based on his conspiring for an insurrection on January 6th. This has been done
Yeah,
already.
nice try. You see, he can't use Insurrection Act, but you want the blue team to. That's
It's not
interesting.
a team. Like there was an insurrection. They attacked the Pentagon. I'm sorry, they attacked the Capitol. Like this, people being shot
That
dead in
was
the
an
street,
inside job.
not according to the head of the FBI.
Cash Patel,
Indeed.
who you previously discredited like 5 minutes ago.
So, I mean, even the person placed at the head of the FBI by Donald Trump to protect Donald Trump has said no. Donald Trump's conspiracy theory that the FBI was responsible is not true. Just saying. Facts.
Well, we shall see. But thanks to Ground News, we have a source that's balanced, not just left and right, and center, trying to cover all angles of information, real time.
Well, any closing statements?
Yes, I like to say, family, we are the media, and now so are you. So make sure you share our content, add your own, so that way the algorithm pays attention, so you don't have to.
This is LC and Dion signing out.